Hey guys, what's up? It's Ryoga, and today is Real Talk Day. So, my life is not always sunshine and gummy bears, and while I go through great pains to not have people worry about me and not put out like my negative business and whatnot, sometimes I have to. And when I say have to, like I never really know what I want to portray to people. Like, I don't know if I want people to just see me as, this ninja entity, or I'm the free runner, I'm, the parkour practitioner, or, the comic guy, or just, the all-around badass that I try to be most of the times, but it's not always that simple. And like most people's lives, there are difficulties and hardships. So I wanted to make this post a couple days ago, but then something happened, and I'll try to condense it. And this may change people's entire opinion of me, by the time I'm done with this. My life is defined by death. I don't have a lot of friends. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, I have two friends, and one's 4,000 miles away, and the other one's, 1,000 miles away right now. And I don't let a lot of people get close to me, because when they do, they leave. And usually they die. And you guys know that I lost my girlfriend 8 months ago. And I never really talked about, I haven't really updated anyone on how that's gone on. And so bear with me. Many years ago, I had an uncle. His name was Richard. I hadn't seen Richard in a number of years. About 7, 8 years, if I remember correctly. One day, I was out with Michelle, who was my girlfriend back in 2002, I think, when I was dancing at Bag. And for some reason, I had this feeling of his presence, if that means anything to you. And I started to channel him, like his voice, and while I was joking around with Michelle at a Safeway in Castro Valley. Well, the next day, I get a phone call, and it was a number that I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was on the other line, and it was someone that I hadn't spoke to in 7 years, and it was my mother. 7-year gap since I had seen or spoken to my mother. This is important. We hadn't written, hadn't called, nothing. And boom, there's my mom, calling me up. The first thing my mom says to me, after she said hello, is Richard died. And I kind of knew. I kind of just knew. He committed suicide, and, people struggle with things, and that was his way out, and I'm not upset about it. And funny thing is that my other surviving uncle, Curtis, has said something along the lines, after I went back home to go visit the family and whatnot. He said, my brother was able to do more in his death than he was able to while he was alive. And that was a reference to bringing me back to the rest of the family. I had a good friend named Mark who died just probably a little bit before Rashika died. My boss, who I used to work with, we were all in this company together, he calls me up one day, and he goes, I got something to tell you. And the first thing I ask him is, who died? And he goes, how'd you know? I was like, I just know. And he tells me Mark died. Mark was a great entertainer and a sound man, and used to do interviews back in the day. He was really an awesome guy, and wonderful person. And it's one of these things that I just knew, like the presence I get at. So follow me when I get to this. When Rashika died, she died on January 22nd, 2011. And I didn't find out until the 25th. But I knew she was gone on the 22nd that evening. I was in Safeway, and Don't Speak by No Doubt came on the intercom, the little music that they play. And I just had this feeling that I wasn't going to talk to her again. And it hit me hard, extremely hard, that knowledge that I was never going to speak to her again. And I don't know why. We had an argument a couple days before, and I just had this feeling of despair and regret and dread. And then 3 days later, I find out she's gone. Since her passing, she's always influencing my life. Not so much now, but definitely in the weeks after her passing. Like, she had an active influence in my current reality, like this here and now. I'm going to give you a tiny example, and I have 100, that are similar to this. I used to date a girl named Ashes Monroe. Ashes is awesome. And it was a short little relationship-ish flingy thing, but, she was a sweetheart, and I absolutely fell head over heels in love with her. The day that I knew that it wasn't going to happen, like, it wasn't going to continue, because I was really into her, and I was so awkward and just odd, and I just couldn't get it together. Like, I didn't know what to say around her, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know what to talk, and I just, blah. So, we would do, like, just really, she was normal, and I was just excited to be around someone so awesome, and I just kind of made a fool of myself most of the time, because I don't know if I was trying too hard, or I was in love and Twitter-pated. So, one night, we were at the, I can't remember the name of the theater, but it's in Santa Cruz, and we saw a midnight showing of Harold and Maude. And the theme of that movie, well, I'll get to the point. The theme of the movie is Go Love Some More. To me, anyway, like, that's what I got out of it. And as we're walking from the theater, I remember everything, that it was dark, and it was cold, and it was kind of windy, and we're walking down the sidewalk hand in hand as I'm going back to my car, and I just knew I wasn't going to see her again. And we're holding hands, and I'll be damned if the rain just didn't snap and start coming down. So this whole, like, feeling of, like, this is the end, it's over with, and, I remember I said goodbye, and I remember kissing her on her forehead, and the taste of rain, sweat, and salt just was intensified. And she turned around and walked off into the distance, and, as the lights dimmed, and it was just all just dramatic, tragic thing and stuff. But what I got out of that was like, okay, I'm in love with her, and it's not going to work out, but so what? I'm a better person for it. Go love some more. I still have the ticket stub from that evening, and I keep it as a reminder of who I am and how my life is defined by love, and how I romanticize everything and what it really brings out of me. So, after Rashika had died, I was cleaning house, and I'm thinking about all the things, that we had went through, and how much I didn't want to clean, because every time I clean my house, I find things of hers. I find t-shirts and her drawings and notes from when she was graduating from Santa Cruz. I did find this. We went to the beach boardwalk one day. We went on the slide, and she was so adamant about getting this photo. So I'm cleaning house, and there I find, this photo and else. So I pick it up, and I have a moment with it, and I just start thinking about that moment. And as I move it to the side, the next item that I grab is the ticket stub from the last evening that I saw Ashes. And that just let me know, move on, go love some more. Getting back to the present. My grandmother died a couple years ago, and thankfully it happened quick. Like, she's been healthy her entire life. Never been a day in the hospital, no complications, no issues, just up and happy, and one night she's playing bingo, and then she goes home and has a heart attack, and then she's gone. And then the family's all processed it and whatnot, and then death, it happens. So, for the past couple years, I've been off and on kind of trying to figure out where my father's at. I've asked my mother, and I've asked other people, and I've been, hunting records and things like that, and I've come up empty. So Ancestry.com has this little promotion going on this week where you get like a 15-day free trial, and so I started typing in names. And, of course, I start with my father and my mother, and I get nothing. And I go down the line of my brothers, I get nothing. And then I tag my grandmother. And I get the little leaf, because they have an actual death record of her. So it's the one that pops up, even though the guy I'm looking for is my father. I come home, And I'm thinking, well, you know, I see grandgrands, you know, little leaf pop up, and it just seemed kind of odd that of everyone living, like, hers was the only one to get a leaf, you know? And I have a little moment thinking about it. I come home, and my brother calls me. And as I answer the phone, you know, I'm like, hey, kinfolk, what's up? He goes, guess who calls me? I said, my father. He goes, how do you know? I said, I just know. My father called you. I haven't seen my father in 25 years. He's absent. He just hasn't been there. And now I'm in this state of, what do I do? Like, we haven't spoken yet, but my father... In fact, it was the same time. I asked him when. He goes, 15 minutes ago. And it was 15 minutes ago, and I was at the office, you know, looking this up. So at the exact same time that I'm looking for my father gets the notion in his head to hunt down my brother on Facebook. So it just seems kind of weird to me that the moment that I'm looking for my father, and this comes back to how I say that death surrounds me and spirits influence my life, and they always have. It's not coincidence. It is fate and purpose, and, you know, add your own adjective to it, but this was meant to happen. The moment that I'm hunting down my father and I get, you know, the presence of my grandmother, and then that very moment my father decides to contact my brother, who he finds on Facebook, because my brother has his number listed on Facebook to the public. And then we're like, and most people think that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, why would you have your phone number, you know, listed to public for everyone? And, well, here we go. I got my father back after 25 years. Isn't that weird? Yeah. We haven't talked yet. My brother called me and asked me to, he asked me if it was okay if I gave him my number. Or he gave him my number, and I said, sure, you know, let him have it. And, I guess we'll see what happens after that. But, you know, to add a little sting to the story, the last time I saw my father was Christmas Day of 1987. 1987. He came over and brought presents. I remember what he brought. He brought me and my two brothers, who are my older brothers. They're both twins. Does anyone remember Popples? They're those little stuffed animals that flipped inside out, and they would turn into like balls, like soccer balls or footballs and things like that. He brought us 3 Popples. And I had the white and pink one. And it was the smallest one because he got them bigger ones. And I remember I was jealous that they got the bigger ones because I wanted those. But I ended up just being fond of the smaller white and pink one. I have that... God, I was in 2nd grade when that happened. I kept that until 5th grade. I don't know what happened to it since then, but I kept it for a long time. And then he was gone. Came in, dropped off presents, and then vanished. If anybody wants to leave any comments and give me some sound advice on like how I'm supposed to handle this and how I'm supposed to reconnect with a guy that I've only seen once, you know, to my knowledge. I don't really even remember what he looks like. I have no photos of him. You know, he's just, you know, a shadowy figure in my head. You know, he was that guy that came in on Christmas one year and never came back. You know, and as an adult, when I think about what it means, that part angers me. You know, what was so important in your life for you to be absent from mine? Because you're still around. So, you know, but this has gone on. So, yeah, someone please, you know, how am I supposed to handle this? You know, there's no book for this. You know, there's no course. There's no instruction manual on, like, how to reconnect with your father. You know, so I'd welcome any advice to let me know what direction to go in. And sorry for ranting too long. I get that way. Anyway, I got class to be at in a little bit. Take care. Peace.